Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, Oklahoma is fertile ground for bioinnovation. We're cultivating the future by applying science to improve on nature's gifts. Yet there's a shortage of those who may be poised to make the next breakthrough. Today, we begin by looking at the work to close the skills gap in agriculture and the biosciences. Andy Barth shows us how one of the state's leading energy companies is partnering with the FFA to grow a new generation of workers. I'll look at how parental instincts can sometimes misfire.
You be careful now.
And we end our day looking at the value of playtime. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, the 21st century has been called the biocentury, with modern ag bioscience representing perhaps the most promising area for man's advancement. Across the state, Oklahomans are revolutionizing agriculture and biosciences, literally planting the seeds for a better tomorrow by developing drought and disease-resistant crops that produce larger yields to feed and fuel our world. Yet there are concerns. Such work may not be sustainable. In our ongoing look at the skills gap, we focus today on the biosciences, a key industry in the state and one searching for workers. Here's our Austin Moore.
In May, the hills surrounding Oklahoma City's Arcadia Lake were swarming with unusually quiet teenagers. These focused teams gather here annually because of the ground beneath their feet. This is the National FFA and 4-H Land Judging Contest.
We'll have about 1,000 participants, judges, helpers that come from usually around 35 states.
Greg Scott is a soil conservationist who helps out with this Oklahoma City-based competition.
It's here because Oklahoma started it. Some of the leaders in agriculture and conservation back in the 50s proposed this contest, and it grew and eventually grew into a national contest. The whole idea of teaching this to students came out of the Dust Bowl, out of the conservation needs. And the students look at a piece of land, we dig a pit, and they get down in the pit and see that soil profile, and then they have to make a judgment not only about the physical characteristics of the soil, the texture and structure, permeability, and how much erosion has occurred there, but they have to make a recommendation for how the soil should be taken care of.
Those are the two main ones, right? You're going to look for structure change and color change.
Carla Beatty is the education coordinator for the Oklahoma Conservation Commission.
These kids have to compete in their home states, usually in their home county first, and then they usually go, in Oklahoma for instance, they go to an area contest, and then they get to go to state, and by the time they get to the state level, then this is the cream of the crop from those states.
Did y'all get the moderately coarse on the soils?
At today's practice round, agricultural education instructor Blake Collier is tuning up his team for the home site portion of the contest.
They're working individually. Their scores, their individual scores count for a team score at the end, but they can also win individual awards.
We figure little quirks and stuff out, and we tell each other, and it helps the whole team out.
But this is more than a simple contest. These students are honing a craft that combines science and the all-important soft skills so necessary in today's workforce.
What'd you score?
59.
Jason Warren is a soil scientist with Oklahoma Cooperative Extension.
Soils are complex ecosystem, essentially, that is influenced by chemistry, physics, and biology. The soil dictates to a great extent both water and air quality, and it is the third resource of critical importance to the human condition. At the university level, we have soil chemists, soil physicists, and soil biologists, and then we have soil management guys who combine all those into concepts that are used to manage the land.
As you work with students, people in your program, what kind of job prospects are you finding out there for folks who want to study this and make it their profession?
It's very broad. I mean, you can get a degree in soil science and then market that as critically important to any really land resource management entity.
So your kids, they're finding stuff. They're not searching.
Yeah, we have 70 undergraduates in our department at Oklahoma State University, and when every one of them graduate, they will have a job, or certainly have the opportunity to get a job in a industry related to their education. Our placement is 100%.
This is a trend not just in soil sciences, but across the spectrum of ag sciences. A study from Purdue University recently showed that our schools are only producing 60 to 70% of the graduates needed in the agricultural sector. Sunny Ramaswamy is the director of the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture.
Each year, over the next 5 years, this enterprise is going to be, food and agricultural enterprise, is going to be creating almost 58,000 jobs per year for the next 5 years, projected out between 2015 and 2020. Oh, by the way, all of these agricultural colleges across America, both at the land-grant universities like Oklahoma State University and Langston University, again in Oklahoma, all of these institutions, the sum total of graduates being produced is going to be just about 38,000 per year. And so there's again a shortfall that needs to be met. We need people that are food process engineers. We need people that are food safety specialists. We need people that are discovering new knowledge in the area of plant sciences, animal sciences, entomology, plant pathology. I can go on and on about this, and we need all of these people. The agricultural enterprise is the most viable, most active, most vibrant enterprise that's part of the U.S. economy.
And don't think ag sciences are only for those who grew up on the farm. A large percentage of students entering this field have never set foot on one.
This generation of young people that we've got that is graduating from high school, that graduated a couple of years ago or graduating from high school this year, you're seeing that these young people have a, in quotes, a do-gooder attitude about them. They want to solve hunger. They want to solve poverty. They want to solve climate change. These are the things that they want to do.
Back at the Soils Contest, you get a sense of that motivation from Hawaiian competitor Korin Nishimoto.
Well, we have sort of a limited supply of land, especially in Hawaii, so you need to be able to know how we can most efficiently use the land, what you can grow on it, how we can improve the land and keep it running and have like sustainable agriculture.
So for Korin and his fellow competitors, this contest may be just the start of an exciting career.
If you enjoy science and you like to work outside and be involved in nature, it's a very, very interesting science. Not only is it very complex, if you like to really think about complex systems and the science that dictates how they respond, but it also provides you with an opportunity to be outside enjoying a component of nature.
And joining me now in studio is our Austin Moore. Well, with so many ag science jobs now available, why aren't we seeing more students just go into agriculture?
Well, it's easy to imagine how a high school student would overlook agriculture as a field. You know, so many of us carry a very traditional mindset about agriculture, and you just don't really understand how technological it is these days.
Yeah, there's still a massive industry both here in the state and across the nation.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at ag receipts, and that's the value of your crops, your animals, as they leave that farm gate, you're looking at about $380 billion. But when you take that on through the supply chain, you get to restaurants and grocery stores, then it becomes about $2 trillion. That's more than 10% of our GDP.
All right. Thank you so much, Austin.
Absolutely, Rob.
A little later in our show, we'll show you why what these children are up to is far from child's play. But when we return, we'll look at the investment a leading energy company is making in the FFA to develop new STEM workers.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, one of Oklahoma's leading energy companies is investing in agriscience. Devon Energy is helping members of the FFA bridge into the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. With more, here's our Andy Barth.
Well, FFA offers its members many opportunities to compete in competitions called career development events. For several years, members have competed in an agri-science fair highlighting scientific research pertaining to the agriculture industry. And this year, students were able to showcase their findings to the energy industry's leading experts. From the livestock ring to the tractor, agriculture is a big business. But what if it paired with the state's other main industry, energy? Oklahoma FFA's Whitney Danker.
The mission of FFA centers on personal growth, premier leadership, and career success. So what we see here today is our students focusing on that career success piece and exploring careers in the agriculture industry and where that intersects with science.
The Oklahoma FFA's Agri-Science Fair showcases students' knowledge and research while combining agriculture with STEM. And industry giant Devon Energy wants to be a part of it. Alan Markham is Devon's Senior Vice President for Administration.
These students that are here today at this Agri-Science Fair are students that will ultimately be, members of our state and potentially members of our Devon community in the future. And it's important for us to create a grassroots program around science and bring that back into to Oklahoma so that not only Devon can benefit from it, but the whole state as well.
And Danker says this event allows unique interaction with industry professionals.
One of the reasons why the Devon partnership is so important in this is because it actually provides access to some of those Devon employees, allowing students to hear from people who have careers in areas that they may want to explore. So we have geologists and petroleum engineers on site today who are doing the judging and interacting with students in a way that wouldn't be possible without the Devon sponsorship.
Devon has pledged $75,000 over the next 3 years for the FFA Agri-Science Fair, a move Markham says boosts a pioneering thought process.
This is creating innovative spirit in high school and post-secondary education. This is creating new ideas.
And one of those new ideas is by Oologah FFA member Braden Kellogg.
So my project is about the difference between new pipe and recycled pipe that's gone through the oil industry.
Kellogg tested the longevity of new and used pipe for projects like livestock corrals, and the used pipe came up short.
The main challenges are just how it's difficult to use. It can contain magnetism, which causes the weld to not take, and it just makes it that much weaker.
Just one of many experiments at this year's fair, and Markham says thanks to Devon, attendance is way up.
This is our first year engaged with the Agri-Science event, and we've just with our participation through some financial incentives, this event has grown 262% in the first year.
And Danker says this partnership makes Oklahoma a stronger state.
In the state of Oklahoma, the three largest assets are our oil and gas, our energy industry, our agriculture industry, and then our youth. And so it just makes sense that these three would combine in this project, and that's exactly what's happening here, is that we're producing young leaders who can step forward in their communities as leaders in the agriculture industry and the oil and gas industries.
Now, not only does Devon Energy have that 3-year sponsorship plan for the Agri-Science Fair, they also gave more than $25,000 additional dollars in support for the association.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, the value of child's play. But first, grounding helicopter parents.
Well, for many of today's children, the lazy, hazy days of summer are far from that. From organized sports to a laundry list of organized extracurricular activities, summer vacation is often anything but leisurely. Which begs the question, in our effort to provide our children with all the opportunities we can, are we in fact limiting their development? It's called helicopter parenting, a name given to moms and dads who hover over their children. For parents, sometimes even the best intentions can backfire. From baby on board signs to mandatory car seats and bicycle helmets, most parents instinctively want to protect their children every way they can.
You be careful now.
But when does good parenting turn into overparenting that smothers a child's development?
I contend that as a result of the different parenting model that was started by the baby boomers, the self-esteem programming, the parent is friend, the choices and options, the constant programming, which is the constructed childhood instead of childhood as something that naturally occurs out in the community, that we see a very different cohort of young people.
Mark Taylor is an education and workforce researcher and says today's students often have a sense of entitlement that past generations didn't.
We have pretty abundant evidence that K-12 education and higher education are both struggling with this cohort of young people. I've written several articles about parents, the helicopter parents, the snowplow parents, who are intervening in their children's academic careers.
Intervention that, no matter how well-intentioned, has created a generation of learners that look to their parents to solve even the simplest of problems.
The real issue with the sense of entitlement is that it reduces students' senses of responsibility for their own learning.
And limits the development of age-appropriate strengths and skills, a trend that is impacting the classroom and even the workplace.
A lot of employers are being challenged as the consumer student comes into the workplace as the consumer employee. That's not what you can do for the company, but what can the company do for me? Employers report that they can't find the workers with the qualifications that they want, either the academic credentials in technical fields or the workplace readiness in terms of showing up, staying busy, responsible for outcomes.
I quit. This job is different than I thought it would be.
So what role does child's play have in a child's development? Well, my next guest says it's absolutely vital.
Ready?
It's just another day at Oklahoma's Wondertorium. A lot of fun, with more than a little learning on the side.
You may think you're the kind of person who likes being around kids, but you learn when you're surrounded by 115, when they're in the heat of their heaviest work. Some people just can't hack it.
But not Clayton Moore and those at Oklahoma's Wondertorium.
I've never had orange tea before. It smells good.
Here, child's play is serious business.
If you do your job well, you should be worn out at the end of the day, because we're playing along with them, recognizing that the work that they're doing is important and worthy of our best investment, which is why I wear a jacket and a tie, because those kids need to be validated that, yeah, what you're doing here is serious stuff.
So Clayton, as a society, have we undervalued the role that play can have in a child's development?
Probably so, but more out of a misunderstanding of what's happening in the child's brain when they are playing than out of some desire to not let kids play. I mean, when kids play, they're doing their most significant work. Montessori said that play is child's work, and they're absolutely right, because when that child is playing, they're not doing just some little thing. They're not killing time. They're making the most out of their time. And the majority of what a child will learn between the ages of about 0 and 8, they learn through play. So it's an experimentation process, it's a constant learning mechanism, which is why they're so emotionally invested in everything that they do, because they're not just playing, they're building their brains, they're learning about the world around them, they're emotionally invested, they're learning what's important to them, what's important to people around them. That's why play is such an efficient and inclusive model for kids to learn through.
Believing that every parent loves their child and they want the very best for them, do we focus sometimes more on organizational type of plays, like you need to be on this team, you need to be doing ballet?
Yeah, and more, and especially as kids go into that structured educational environment, when they get old enough to go to school and be in a classroom, then they get enrolled in soccer, or they get enrolled in dance or martial arts, and they have a particular time and a particular space, and you have an adult in that time and space that tells the child what the rules are, where to go, what to be, what to do, what success is. So just in a desire to fill the kids' time with what we think is important things, we have a tendency to squeeze out just unstructured, free play, which more and more, as our cultures change, as the way our communities change, there are more and more people and less time and space to play, we allow kids to play less and less. And it's very important that we value that time, but also value what play is in the child's development.
You know, we can hear the voices of the little ones around us. What is the role that Oklahoma's Wondertorium should play and is playing?
We want to give kids time, space, and the opportunity to do their best work, which is play. We also want to educate and serve as a resource to the larger community, the adult community, on what really play is and how it benefits a child's development and a child's growth. Not only why play is important to a kid, but how play is a mode for learning for everybody. If you're an adult, you were a kid. If you were a kid, you played and you were a creative genius in that mode of play. You haven't lost that part of yourself. You haven't used it as much, and you've maybe forgotten how to use it, how to apply it to the adult world or the professional environment. But play is something that humans use to learn. And we need to recognize as adults that children, when they play, they're building better, stronger brains that they're going to use for the rest of their lives. We also need to recognize as adults, as professionals, if there's an issue that we can't solve, a problem that we can't figure out a clear answer to, play may be the mode by which that answer is uncovered. And so play is not simply something that kids do or is beneficial to kids, it's a human cultural product.
So while as adults we may not be able to have slides in our offices, at Oklahoma's Wondertorium,
you just push this.
Play is a hands-on activity no matter your age. You know, I'm struck just looking around the Wondertorium. There are not a lot of seating areas for the adults.
No, that's exactly right. And we do charge for adults to come to the museum, and the idea is if adults pay to do something, they want to get something out of it. So we hope to incentivize that adults come to the Wondertorium to play. It's a children's museum, but adults want the most for those kids, and the way for those kids to get the most out of this experience is for adults to play with them and engage with them. You don't learn much just by watching. And that's true when it comes to watching your kids play. You will learn more about your kids. You will get more out of the experience by engaging with those kids. And a kid wants nothing more than for adults to validate their time, validate what they're doing, say it's important, ask them questions, and get involved. So, yeah, we don't have Wi-Fi. We don't have a lot of seats. We want you to put the cell phone down after you've taken that great picture, and we want you to play with those kids.
In any number of activities. Here, children can learn something for the first time. And even better understand what it's like to be different.
One of the things that's so great about this space is we can have 5 languages spoken at any time on the floor. So the fact that kids have no problem playing with kids that are different from them. Kids don't recognize that difference. Kids just recognize kids, potential friends, and someone else that I can play with. Kids don't make introductions. Kids don't walk up, say, hi, my name's Clayton, how are you? What are your interests? What do you believe in? What kind of car do you drive? They don't do that. They see a kid participating in something that looks really fun that they want to participate in. They walk up, they may say, can I play with you? Or they may just start playing, and the kids just collaboratively begin this process together. And there's so much benefit that a child gets out of play, period. But when a kid starts playing with another child, then they get all those wonderful social components, all the communication skills that go along with collaborating together. Imagine adults that couldn't speak or couldn't articulate to each other building a structure out of blocks. Children do it all day, every day, and never have to pass a word between them. It's all nonverbal cues, facial cues, or just participating and collaborating, building structures together. And a lot of people don't recognize that that building is using all those important skill sets that people are stressing so much in that STEM curriculum that is so important out in the education community. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, a child uses that skill set every time they build a structure with blocks. Unfortunately, adults just say, well, the kid's just building with blocks. But in that child's brain, they're doing all the difficult work that you would do to draw out plans, to evaluate resources, to make decisions about what to use, what not to use, and then all of the effort and intentionality that you put into constructing that structure, a child is doing that in real time. Play is so much more like jazz than it is like killing time, and if we were to recognize that the child is really invested that much in it, then I think we would give them a little more time, a little more space, and value it for what it is, and maybe engage a little more as parents.
Oh, they go down.
All the way down.
Well, Oklahoma's WONDERtorium is located in Stillwater and open 6 days a week. And we do have a link to their full website, as well as my full interview with Clayton Moore, which is one of the more enlightening ones I've had in recent memory. Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV. Or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we look at immigration and education and how the intersection of those two could well determine the future of our economy.
When you are young in high school, thinking for everything except studying, but now I'm studying. I'm refreshing my mind.
New Americans on Oklahoma's show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Thanks for including us as part of your day. I'm Rob McClendon. Hope to see you back here next week.